Moms, do you feel overwhelmed by your kids' emotional outbursts, tantrums, and just unregulated mood? You feel like you're walking on eggshells because you never know what is going to set them off next. If this is you, you are not alone. According to a study by Johns Hopkins, 1 in 5 kids actually have some type of diagnosis that lead to behavioral issues, emotional dysregulation, outbursts, and meltdowns. And this can be a really hard spot to be as a parent. This was Davy's family when she first came to us. The mom literally said the phrase to me, "I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. I never know what's going to set her off." She goes into this emotional outburst and she just is so hard to come back down, and you never know when these are coming. It's not the same thing every time. It's always something different. And this is so heartbreaking as a parent to watch your child go through this and not understand, what can I do for them? How can I help them out of this? How can we help avoid this? A lot of times the first step is behavioral therapy and or changing parenting techniques, which are super helpful for some kids. But what about those kids who we do both of these, or maybe one of them, and we have an environment that we fully changed, we have totally different ways to react, but it's still a problem. We're still struggling. The meltdowns are still happening. Where do you go next? I want to talk to you guys about the root cause of so many of these behavioral issues, where they come from, and what you can do to help your kid out of them. Now, it's so important to look at sensory overload. If our kids are getting just an absolutely overwhelming amount of information up into their brain says, wow, it's really overwhelming in this environment. I am going to respond with a survival instinct because I am overwhelmed by what's going on in this environment. Now, really, they're just at home with you and you're asking them to put their clothes away, or they're in the classroom with other students who are all adapting to that environment. But that environment to them, they cannot handle that. So what can you do? If your child is experiencing this, they most likely are struggling with subluxations. Things in the reporting system, that spinal cord and brain, especially in the spinal cord, there's problems. There's problems with the reporters. The people who are supposed to be telling the brain what's going on, they aren't doing their job well. They're fixated, they're misaligned, they're sending poor signals, and they're imbalancing the brain and causing these reactions. So what happens is we get bad information up, our brain makes a bad choice, and we get a bad behavior back out. Now, so many times we attack the behavior piece of this, behavior modification, changing their behaviors. What is so important is the root cause of this comes from the input, from the reporters. If the body can bring quality, organized, well-aligned information up into the brain can make good decisions about what to do, and the behavior looks naturally different because the brain is responding to a different perceived environment. The brain only knows what's going on based on what the reporters tell it. So if we get lots and lots of crazy reports coming up to the brain, it's scary, it's overwhelming, there's so much going on, it's so loud, the brain's like, I have to survive this situation. This is a lot. And the brain makes those survival, impulsive, reactive, emotional, dysregulated choices. When we have coordinated information coming to the brain, the reporters are doing a good job of telling the brain what's actually going on, actually explaining the information, giving the parent a real picture of the environment. The brain says, I understand what's being asked of me, and responds with a different, more regulated response. Parents, if this is your kid and you want to know more, I have a link in my bio and in the comments above, talking about link to a podcast talking all about this, all about behaviors and meltdowns, dysregulation, what you can do and how you can help your child move forward. And we always have information, and we can answer additional questions for you too. We are waiting here for you and your child with hope, help, and answers.